Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO44 coming at you with another video. All right, so the Golden State Warriors, Jonathan Kuminga has essentially said, "Get me the hell out of here right now. I'm sick of this place. I'm eligible to be traded. Move me now." And so, expect for the Warriors to, you know, weigh the options that they have and move accordingly. I think it's in their best interest to consider that. They've had him in this poor rotation pattern that has allowed for him to get half of the minutes that he would be expected to get in most situations. He hasn't developed properly. I don't believe he's really ever fit there. And Coach Kerr doesn't have him in his favor, so I don't blame Jonathan Kuminga for being unhappy there. They played some weird games with his minutes to keep him in a position that they could control in regards to negotiations for his contracts and stuff. It's just been bad the whole time. And I made a video 2 days ago talking about, the Lakers should be interested. I'm not the biggest Kuminga fan overall, but I think that there's an asterisk on that, and that asterisk is in the role that he's been in, he hasn't been able to showcase very much to me. Inconsistency with minutes equals inconsistency with play. He may not be a perfect player. He's not LeBron James or something like that, but he has some strengths that I think the Lakers could really use. And I think he has some upside that is a lot better than what we've seen. And the Lakers have a need for what he does with athleticism, interior scoring, slashing, maybe a power forward situation that could potentially be opening up with LeBron James on the way out. So, I think he could showcase himself very well. We tend to have injury issues and stuff like that. Braun misses back-to-back, stuff like that. And we need scoring. Rui Hachimura is a nice power forward, but you prefer to have a wing down there that's more likely to, in theory, be able to guard faster players. And in this situation, I don't think you have to give up Rui, so it'd be great to have them both if you're the Lakers. So as I look at this situation with the Warriors, I look at all of the different things that they've done to drive Kuminga's trade value down, and then I see him making this trade demand, which in theory drives your leverage down even further. And I say to the Warriors, because you have this in your head that you're not going to take back any contracts that are, any money, basically. They want only expiring contracts, picks, or something special if they're going to take back contracts. They've driven their leverage down even further with that demand. With those standards, you'd be lucky to get anything worth having. It seems to me they value expiring contracts more than anything else. And so from what I understand, I was listening to Trevor Lane's content on this just now, and he was saying that the Lakers were offering Dalton Connect, Gabe Vincent, and Maxi Kleber. Maxi Kleber, Gabe Vincent being expiring contracts, Dalton Connect being the sweetener. I removed the sweetener if I'm the Lakers. At this point, with him demanding a trade, price comes down. I don't have to throw in Dalton Connect anymore. If they can find a better suitor, take one. Go ahead and find a better, based on what it is that your leverage is, Warriors, and based on what it is that your demands are. If you can find a better package than Maxi Kleber and Gabe Vincent expiring at $22 million, take it. But as for me, I'm removing Dalton Connect from that. First of all, Dalton Connect is not worth anything in the market any damn way. Second of all, from what I understand, according to the content I was just watching, they don't want Dalton anyway. They don't value him as anything to acquire. They didn't like the package to begin with, including Dalton. So for me, it's like, all right, well, you didn't like the package including Dalton. I'm removing Dalton from the equation, and I'm going to value my asset as little as value as it has right now accordingly. I'm not going to throw it in as a sweetener for you when you don't have the leverage to demand a sweetener anymore. As long as you're not willing to take back multiple years, you don't really have any other suitors. Even Sacramento has now said that their prices gone up in regards to them acquiring Kuminga. They don't, from what I understand, want to involve the protected pick that they were willing to involve before. Malik Monk was a player they were willing to offer, but Malik's on multiple years. The Golden State Warriors don't have any interest in that contract for that reason, I believe. So the Warriors have backed themselves into a corner where if all they'll take is expiring contracts, the only suitor they have is the Lakers. So there's no reason for me to throw Dalton Connect into the mix. Now I'll say something else, which actually is important to my overall opinion. If I'm the Warriors, there's absolutely no way I don't see the value in taking back Dalton Connect. Dalton Connect is a shooter, a scorer with athleticism and a wing. They are the Warriors. There should be no world where a talented shooter doesn't have any interest coming from that organization, especially when that shooter's value is really, really low. The Los Angeles Lakers were able to capitalize on Max Christie coming out of college as a shooter that was struggling severely to hit shots. We drafted him in the second round because of it. He was able to be a hell of a player for us. We added him into the Luka trade, and the rest is history. Max Christie's going to go on to have a really nice career. There are times when you have to be able to say, okay, the risk is that we bring ourselves a player that continues to struggle and he never turns into anything and he evaporates into nothing. The reward is we bring this guy here, he develops in our situation and blasts off to what he was supposed to be, which is a heavily talented scorer. You're the Golden State Warriors. From what I understand, they are interested in getting shooters. They want Trigger Murphy III from the Pelicans. They want somebody else that he mentioned. They wanted marketing. If you have any foresight, and we talk about this on this channel all the time, if you have any foresight, when you have a player like Dalton Connect, who's drafted 17th overall, who was likely supposed to go 10th or even 5th overall in the draft, who's come into the Lakers situation and has struggled mightily, maybe even broken of the mind, but talented as hell, never had any injuries, very athletic, and basically hits shots. That's what his thing is. You not wanting him when his value is as low as it's ever going to be, in a situation where he would be a throw-in for a trade that ultimately you have no other suitors for, that is a sign that there's something very wrong with your organization, in my opinion. There's something very wrong with the Golden State Warriors not wanting Dalton Connect in this trade. I just want to say that if the reports are true, and maybe that's not true, maybe it's more nuanced than that, but that they don't see the vision to bring in an athletic shooter whose value is in the toilet, where there's only but upside from here in regards to bringing him to a different situation where he has a fresh start to score the ball constantly, in a situation where he can learn from other shooters like Steph Curry and Buddy Hield and people like that are on the team. You're telling me you don't want to potentially take a chance on somebody whose ceiling could be that high? Like, this is a real problem. And for me, I just look at what they do sometimes in Golden State, and I just say, man, this is why your team is not very good. This is why I really genuinely believe Steph Curry should not retire there, man. Because they're willing to do all these other things, but they don't want to bring in a rookie contract on a shooter when their whole team MO is shooters. They shoot. That's what they do. And for them not to want Dalton Connect when his value is in the toilet is just it's incompetence, man. It's one of many reasons why I think they're extremely incompetent. Whoever's making their decisions, Mike Dunleavy or the people above his head, they're extremely incompetent to me, and I've just been very frustrated with the Warriors from afar. I don't like them. I'm a Laker fan. Obviously, they're the ops for us, but just as somebody who likes building, the idea of building teams and just has a certain logic about what young players can do for your team and cashing in and buying low on young players and developing in your situation. The reports of them not having any interest in Dalton Connect is crazy to me. I can understand why you would consider him someone not worth anything. I definitely can. I also understand why you may not want to bring something to you that's not worth anything. Totally get it. But when you don't want to bring yourself a player with ceiling that high, who fits your team MO that much, and it's to little to no risk to you, and the circumstances surrounding you acquiring him basically are you're boxed in and you got to take what you can get anyway, and to not want him is crazy. That's crazy. It's incompetent. And And I just say, the risk is very low for the Warriors in regards to Dalton Connect. Now, me personally as a Laker fan, I've been frustrated with Dalton Connect, and I've been on record telling people I've been frustrated with Dalton Connect, but I've never lost sight of the fact that this is second year of a development process. And sometimes some players are very difficult to develop. Some players you go through more struggles than others. He's one that you go through a lot of struggles with. And it may be a little while before he turns into who he's supposed to, and maybe he doesn't. These are dog days, and I get that. But this is why you bring him to your situation now, because when he recovers or overcomes all of these problems, his value goes up. And then you're going to pay 3, 4, 5, 10, 12 times more to acquire him. And that's when you're going to start having interest. That's when these GMs and ownership start saying, yeah, I like that player, when the risk is no longer in place, but the price tag is sky high. When you have the issues that the Warriors have, when you have the issues that the Bucks have, when you have the issues that the Lakers have, the Clippers have, where you don't, for whatever reason, you're not very rich in assets. You don't particularly have a lot of picks. You don't particularly have a lot of young players. These are the things you need to do. These are the risks you need to take on in order to really improve your situation, man. You acquire young players. You have a vision for what guys are going to look like, and you bring them to you before they become what they're going to become. You take them out of struggling situations. You bring them in while they're dirt, and you clean them up, and you find the diamond within them. And if it doesn't work out, then you can toss them away and just say, well, we tried. Let's try again with a different player. But these are the things that are going to fix these team situations who've mortgaged their picks, who've paid people they shouldn't paid, who've stayed on timelines that are no good, who are lacking in young talent because of injuries and stuff like that. You gotta take chances on young players, bro. You have to, especially the ones that were drafted high, who've been given up on too soon, who are ready to make a move toward the upside of themselves if they just get into the right situation. I believe Dalton Connect is that exact player. And the Warriors is probably the best place for him, one of the best places for him based on his skill set and based on their needs and based on where they're going to be 3 years from now when Steph Curry retires, when Draymond Green retires. It's just like that they don't want him, to me. It just speaks to why they need to move on from who they have making decisions for them. I'm just going to be honest with you. It's one of many reasons why they need to move on from these people, man. And I tell you the truth, man. If Steph Curry is going to remain a Golden State Warrior, if I'm his representation, I would want to see a lot of changes in their organization, man. I would want to see a lot of changes. And I'm not close enough to their organization to know what all needs to be done, but I can see from afar that a lot of what their decision making has been has aligned with what it is I'm complaining about. They have messed up development processes for multiple players, including Jonathan Kuminga. They've passed on opportunities to cash out on players they should be moving on from. They've paid people legacy money that can't help them win anymore. Has messed up their cap situation. And they're not in a position to be really any good right now. And they're missing opportunities to improve by avoiding things that they likely should be going for. They're aiming for the moon and the stars as if they're going to be able to bring themselves something special without having any leverage to actually do so, without being a place that anyone actually wants to go to. Talking about Giannis Antetokounmpo. How the hell are you supposed to acquire Giannis Antetokounmpo? You don't have the assets. You know what I'm saying? You don't have the assets to acquire Giannis Antetokounmpo. If the Bucks are going to move Giannis, likely he should not want to be. They should not want to negotiate with you. But if you would have done what it is that I described in regards to Dalton over the last 3 years enough times, you might have the package. You might have the package. You know what I mean? So I'm irritated with some of these teams, man. And Golden State is one of them. I don't like the moves they've been making for the most part. Some of the young players are not developing properly there. They're leaning on Steph Curry. And it's unfortunate for Steph that he has that being the case. His organization has crumbled around him. They're living off of old championship glory. And the people they have in place are not champions. The people that are making decisions for them are not champions, man. And it shows. They're mediocre. And they're dragging them back into a space that the Golden State Warriors long suffered in before this golden era. And so that's what I think. I think they need to clean house, man. They need to get some people up out of there, man. I know Steve Kerr is a decorated championship coach, and it's already proven time and time again. If he has special stuff, he can be a part of special stuff. He tends to attract rings. Even as a player, he has more rings than just about anybody else. So I'm not here to say that he needs to go, but I really don't like what I've seen him do over the last several years with the rotations. I don't like it. And whatever that equates to, he can have 100 championships. I don't like what I've been seeing there. But as far as Mike Dunleavy's concerned, I know they're trying to line things up so they have a bunch of expiring contracts the same year. That's assuming they're going to be able to play free agency properly. I don't know they're the free agency destination that they think they are. When you talk about trying to make sure you have a bunch of money a random summer, you may strike out. And it's going to be because you didn't make good decisions and don't have the greatest reputation at that point. And avoiding Dalton Connect and trading away this guy, not developing that guy, these are the things that add up to why a guy in 2028 says, yeah, they got all the money, but I'm going to go somewhere else. I don't believe in the vision. Steph Curry's already halfway out the door. I don't want to be there. And I think that's what they're going to run into. They would be wise to reconsider taking back certain contracts to solidify they have certain talent in place instead of doing this whole free agency thing, banking on people just wanting to go to San Francisco. It ain't going to be what they think it's going to be, and it ain't going to be because San Fran ain't somewhere to live. It's going to be because people have watched what they've been doing here, and there ain't no reason to go there if you're a free agent, if you have other options. So, like, I'm just being honest, man. I watch this stuff pretty closely as a Laker fan who studies all of this every day, does this crap, been doing this for years. This Golden State team, their vision, it's not looking good to me. Their way of approaching these things, it looks a bit flawed to me. They've had opportunities to get better. They've avoided them for this idea that they're going to be able to have free agency just explosion in 2028. And I think it's a damn good chance that if they don't improve between now and then, people are going to choose away from them, man. They're going to choose away from them. Whoever they think they're going to get, that person going to go elsewhere. And so that's what I want to say. I don't like what they're doing. And I don't blame Jonathan Kuminga for wanting to get the hell out of there. They should have released him several years ago. Seriously, they should have let him go into wherever situation that he would better develop in many years ago. But they were greedy with him, and this is why at this point, with him asking for a trade, I wouldn't even throw in the sweetener of Dalton Connect if I'm the Lakers. I wouldn't throw in the pick if I'm the Kings. And anybody else that wants to do a deal with them, I wouldn't necessarily throw in anything more than what would absolutely suit me for Jonathan Kuminga. I wouldn't do it. Fully understanding that we're going to make him better when he gets to where he's going, but they don't have the leverage at this point on multiple fronts to demand anything good for Jonathan Kuminga. VDL 44, I thank you all for watching.